Kirchhoff's rules. Up until this point, we've been analyzing simple circuits by combining resistors in series and parallel, and then using Ohm's law. This works for simple circuits, but in order to analyze more complex circuits, we need Kirchhoff's rules. They are based on the laws of conservation of charge and conservation of energy. Kirchhoff's first rule, or junction rule, is based on the law of conservation of charge. It states that at any junction point, and we mark that here with a dot, the sum of all currents entering the junction point must equal the sum of all the currents exiting the junction. We actually use this when we were calculating the equivalent resistance for resistors in parallel. And that, of course, is a conservation of charge. I think we mentioned it back then. All the charges that come in must come out. So I1 plus I2 is equal to I3 in this picture. And we'll cover this in more detail in the AP Physics 2 course. Kirchhoff's second rule, or loop rule, is based on the law of conservation of energy. Electric potential is defined as the electric potential energy per charge. Since both energy and charge are conserved, so is the electric potential, or V. And once again, we talked about this earlier too when we dealt with resistors in series. So the sum of all changes in potential around any closed path, and that's important, you have to come back to where you started, must equal 0. So if you start here, go all the way around, V1 plus V2 has to equal V. For the clockwise path shown below, that's this way, it's in the same direction as a conventional current, the electric potential is positive when you leave the battery's positive terminal. You have added energy to the charges. And when you go through the resistors, the potential decreases. They have transferred that energy into thermal energy, light, other types of energy. The sum of the changes in potential around the loop is equal to the voltage, and of course another name for that is EMF supplied by the battery, minus the voltage drops across the resistors. So we have V minus V1 minus V2 equals 0, and then you replace each V1 there with Ohm's law, I1 R1 and I2 R2.